Hi, I'm here to hopefully wrap up my ranking of the Hazbin Hotel characters. I'm here to get into my top three, and if you've been watching the other parts, there is a character that I think a lot of fans would expect to be lower, a character that I think most fans would have incredibly low in their ranking. And I surprised myself by putting this character this high, but upon rewatches, I really enjoy this character as a villain, as a character to root against, because I want to make it clear that morality does play a big part in how I rank characters, which I'll definitely get into later, but also a character can really be high on a ranking for me if I love the character as a villain, as a brilliantly written example of a character that should be rooted against, and can really make the plots a lot more interesting. So number three is Valentino. I think that Valentino is a fantastic example of how to have a character that the audience is meant to root against. Valentino is the most disturbing, creepiest, and evil character in the show so far, and more so than Adam, who is portrayed as the big villain to root against so far, and the big foil for Charlie, but I think that Valentino does an even better job than Adam does of being a despicable yet still entertained character. And a lot of what I love about Valentino comes from what I love about the Joker, where the Joker is one of the most messed up, creepiest, vile characters, but in a way that's fascinating, in a way that's clear that he's a character that's meant to be rooted against, but a character that's very fascinating to watch as a viewer that thinks that villains are just really interesting. And I think that's what Valentino does, where he does a lot of stuff that is absolutely disturbing, and he's a character that could come across as completely unfunny and just absolutely creepy, which he is definitely creepy, but there's a lot of things where that he does that wouldn't be funny, and oftentimes a lot of the jokes, like the Joker, are funny because he thinks that they're fun things to joke about. In reality, they aren't. And Valentino shows how you can have a character that's absolutely unpleasant and vile in just about every way imaginable, yet still be entertaining for the audience to watch, while also being clear that the audience isn't supposed to like this character. So when I say I love Valentino, I mean I love what a great villain he is and how delightfully despicable he is. I think he serves his role even better than he needs to. With him not being the big villain so far, he could have just been a fun side antagonist, but he serves the example of the type of people that Charlie is against more so than any other villain in the show. And he has a terrific sense of style. He's consistently hilarious and entertaining and interesting despite how absolutely awful of a person he is. So I think Valentino is one of the best modern examples of how to handle an unlikable villain. And then we move on to the top two. In second place is Vaggie, who I think is underrated. I think she deserves more love and attention. Definitely one of my favorite characters, and is right up there with number one in terms of the character that I end up rooting for the most and having the really strong emotional attachment to. Vaggie and Charlie are just an incredible duo, one of the best duos of modern animation, really just in animation in general. And Vaggie's a character that's very strong. She's very imposing, intimidating, serious, which leads to her being a very cool character and great for action scenes, and has a very strong, imposing presence, and serves as the voice of reason character incredibly well. But she's a very flawed character, and her flaws are brought up, and she works incredibly hard to redeem herself. And seeing her flaws be pointed out and her messed up past and her working very hard and end up being one of the most likable characters in the show despite those flaws is really good. It really shows Charlie's redemption philosophy so well, because Vaggie used to be a villain, a very villainous character, and now I see her as the second most likable, uplifting, and compassionate character in the entire series, and a character that I want to see her succeed. I want to see her live a lifetime of happiness, and I care so deeply about. And I think she serves as a terrific example of how people can redeem themselves. And I am worried that somebody like Alistair would be very hard to redeem, but what they do with baggage shows characters can be redeemed. And then number one is Charlie Morningstar, one of the best modern day protagonists of a TV show, in my opinion, and I would go so far as to say one of the best protagonists of a cartoon show. And I do need to stress it's one of. There's so much competition, but I definitely think she's one of. Charlie is very much the heart of Hazbin Hotel, and is why Hazbin Hotel is not just one of the most entertaining and stylish and delightfully rewatchable cartoon shows. It's also a heartfelt, uplifting, brilliant show where Charlie really has a groundbreaking philosophy that I feel incredibly strong about, where people can be redeemed. And there are a lot of characters in Hazbin Hotel that come across as hopeless cases, and I even thought of that as Anthony Angel Dust, and Charlie showed that there's more to him than that. He can be redeemed, and he can show that he can be compassionate. And I thought that Angel Dust was hopeless before learning about his backstory and learning that he's a lot more sympathetic than I thought. And Serpentius seemed like he would just be antagonistic. Charlie brought out his heart, and Charlie's brought out the heart in Lucifer. And I think if you can make Lucifer come across as a sentimental, heroic character that helps save a lot of people and makes the world a better place, that is pretty groundbreaking. Charlie is very much the Superman of Hazbin Hotel, and how far she's gone, I think, is absolutely incredible and is arguably more impressive than anything Superman's done. She's just that inspirational and groundbreakingly optimistic of a character, and I really do strongly believe that even the worst people can be redeemed. I think it's unlikely, but I think that they have the potential to if they actually genuinely cared enough and genuinely worked hard enough to redeem themselves. And that's really what Charlie's working to explore. Because Charlie really comes across as a character that loves everyone, and I feel strongly about that too. There are people whose viewpoints I'm definitely against, but I care about all people, and I really feel like Charlie expresses a lot of the viewpoints about redemption that I feel very strongly about, and I personally consider myself to not be anything super great of a person, but I definitely consider Charlie to be a great person and somebody that is one of the most inspirational, meaningful, and groundbreakingly thought provoking of a protagonist that I've seen in a cartoon show, not just in recently, but in general. And I think because of that strong of an impact that she's made on me, I felt like she had to get the number one placement. And will Charlie ever be dethroned? I I doubt it. I guess it's possible. I feel like there's a lot of characters that are going to change in my placements when future episodes come out. So I'm definitely interested to see. I think there's some characters that have a lot of potential to really rise up and potentially even rise down or maybe even stay the same. I think Charlie will likely stay the same. I think she and Vaggie will likely own the top two for me going forward, but depending on what's done with other characters, it could change. I don't know. My placements of the characters have already changed a lot, so maybe. I think that Lute, Sarah, are two characters I could definitely see getting much higher. Lilith's a character I could see actually getting into my ranking. I think Alistair's a character that could either go up a few places or down a few places depending on what's done regarding his morality and his storyline. Zestiel is already in 5th place. He could get even higher depending on how much screen time he has moving forward. I definitely hope he has more. And if he just has the sort of small role that he has so far, he could stay the same or even go down if some other characters really stand out to me. So there's a lot of interesting things. I'm very curious to see what will happen regarding my placements. But that's how I feel about the Hazbin Hotel characters so far. And I don't know if I will feel strongly enough to uh, give out new information about how I rank the characters. It could depend if things actually change that much, but for now, this is how I feel about the Hazbin Hotel characters, and you can let me know what you think of my top choices, and you can let me know what your top choices are, and feel free to share your opinions.